Welcome to the deep dive. So if you're working on your English fluency, maybe you're around that B1 level, you're probably thinking, how can I speed this up a bit?
Yeah, that's a common point, isn't it? You've got the basics down, but you're looking for those habits or tricks to really push forward maybe a bit faster. We looked at some interesting ideas today.
We did, and our source for this deep dive is a very practical piece. It's called 5 English Habits That Made Me Fluent Fast. It's someone's personal story, really focusing on the everyday things they did that made a huge difference.
Mm-hmm. And what's great about this source is how actionable it is. It's not just theory, you know? It's concrete stuff you could, well, try out today.
Exactly. So our mission here is to pull out the most useful, maybe even surprising bits from these 5 habits. We want to give you some tangible techniques, things you can actually weave into your day-to-day to learn English more effectively and, yeah, maybe faster. Okay, let's kick things off with habit 1, daily listening time.
Right. This one's presented as like a cornerstone habit. The author really hammers home this idea of no day without English listening. It sounds intense, but they describe a big shift.
Yeah, they talk about that initial feeling, listening to native speakers and just feeling completely lost. The speed, the slang you never see in books, idioms, phrasal verbs. It's overwhelming, isn't it?
Oh, definitely. A very familiar struggle for learners. But the key thing, I think, was their decision to stick with it, even when it was tough.
Right. They didn't just give up. They shifted tactics. Started small, like 5 or 10-minute videos, things they actually liked, travel, motivation, daily routines. And crucially, they looked for clear pronunciation first. The goal wasn't total understanding right away, more like just getting their ears tuned to the sound of English.
That focus on enjoyment is smart, isn't it? Makes it less of a chore. And I like the distinction they made between passive and active listening. That was quite insightful.
And tell us a bit more about that. How did they break that down?
Well, passive listening, as they put it, is kind of letting English be the soundtrack to your life. Listening while you cook, clean, commute. You're absorbing the rhythm, the melody of the language, maybe catching familiar words, noticing how things linked together. It's like building this background familiarity.
So general absorption, not deep focus. But then there's active listening. That sounds more deliberate.
Exactly. That's where their 3-listen technique comes in. It's pretty powerful. Listen once, just raw, no aids. Get the gist.
Okay.
Second time, use English subtitles or a transcript. Really dig in, pause, repeat the tricky bits, jot down words you don't know.
Right, break it down.
Then the third time, listen again, but without any help. See how much more clicks into place.
That sounds incredibly thorough. Good for understanding and remembering stuff. They mentioned it helped pronunciation too.
It does, yeah. Because you're actively engaging, maybe even trying to mimic the phrases. You're training your mouth, the muscles, to make those English sounds, adopt the rhythm. And like we said, picking stuff you actually like. Tony Robbins, business podcasts, whatever, makes it way easier to stick with.
And the results they reported are pretty compelling. Less need for subtitles over time, starting to actually think in English.
That's a big one.
Understanding faster conversations better and feeling more confident speaking just from all that input.
Yeah, that immersion time, even just 15 minutes a day focused listening, seems like a small habit with potentially huge returns. And mixing it up, podcasts for chatty style, YouTube for visuals, audiobooks for focus, music for phrases, news for formal stuff. That gives you a really rounded diet, doesn't it?
It does. And I like the point about empowerment. Taking control of your learning outside a classroom, becoming your own teacher in a way.
Precisely. And that ripple effect they talked about, listening, improving speaking, reading, writing, it makes sense. Language skills are all connected. You hear phrases, they start showing up in your writing. You hear words, you recognize them when you read.
So for anyone listening, what's a concrete first step based on this habit?
Well, try that 3-pass approach. Find a short podcast clip or YouTube video you like. Listen once. Just listen. Then again, with English subtitles or a transcript, pausing, maybe noting things down. Then one last time without anything.
Yeah.
Maybe even try saying some phrases out loud. Just remember, listening isn't passive here. It's active training for your ears, brain, and mouth. It might feel slow at first, but consistency is everything.
Okay, let's move to habit 2, speaking to yourself every day. Now, this one might sound a bit strange to some people.
It definitely sounds unconventional. The author admits it felt silly at first, but they swear by it, saying it worked better than they expected.
And the reason was basically necessity, wasn't it?
Yeah.
They didn't have people to talk to regularly, no immersion environment, so they had to, well, create their own.
Exactly. Proactive. And they started super simple, just describing what they were doing. I am brushing my teeth. I am making coffee. Turning mundane routines into practice time.
Feels a bit weird maybe, but they just pushed through that feeling. Just practiced. Didn't aim for perfection. Even whispered in public sometimes, apparently.
And then they leveled up to imaginary conversations. That's clever. Practicing job interview answers, chats with friends, complaining to customer service, playing both sides of the conversation, making it almost like a game.
And the big advantage is it's completely private, isn't it?
Yeah.
They talked about getting over shyness because, well, who's listening? No pressure, no fear of judgment.
That's huge. You can stumble, repeat, try things out without feeling embarrassed. And they noticed real progress, mouth feeling more comfortable making English sounds, words coming to mind faster, pronunciation improving, just from talking to themselves.
And that idea of mimicking native speakers comes up again. Listening to a phrase on a podcast or movie and then actively repeating it, trying to match the tone, the rhythm, the emotion. That's a great way to sound more natural.
Absolutely. It's getting beyond just words to the music of the language. And it makes sense that they felt more prepared for real conversations later. They'd already rehearsed.
And here's a really interesting side effect they mentioned. Starting to think in English because of all those internal monologues.
Yes.
Creating that direct line from thought to English word, skipping the translation step from their native language. That's a massive leap mentally.
It really is. That's when English starts feeling less like a foreign language and more like, well, your language. And accepting mistakes is crucial. The goal isn't perfection tomorrow, it's getting comfortable using the language.
So for someone listening who wants to try this, how could they start?
Keep it simple. Maybe talk through your plan for the day in the morning. Narrate actions as you do them. Try those imaginary chats in your head or out loud if you're alone. Hear a useful phrase. Repeat it. It might feel strange initially, but that fades. And the benefits. It's free, always available, and really powerful practice. It's like learning an instrument, right? You have to actually do it.
Good analogy.
So yeah, speak out loud. Don't worry about mistakes. Every word is a step.
Okay, let's dive into habit 3. The 1 word a day rule. Now, this sounds almost too simple, doesn't it? 1 word.
It does seem minimal, yeah. But the author is adamant. It works. The idea isn't just learning a word. It's about truly understanding it, remembering it, and crucially, using it. Consistency and active use, that's the magic formula here, apparently.
And not just memorizing lists. They talk about picking words that are actually useful to you, like learning curious and then making a point to use curious somehow during the day.
And really digging into the context, not just the definition, using it in different sentences, like their examples. I am curious about. She is a curious child, a curious look. You see how it works in practice.
And that active use is what makes it stick, isn't it? Just looking it up isn't enough. You have to try it out.
Exactly. That's the difference between passive recognition and active recall. Doing this daily, even with just 1 word, adds up significantly over time. It's focused. Way better than cramming lists you forget next week. Using the word moves it into your long-term memory.
They gave the example of learning challenge and then noticing how it just started popping up naturally in their conversations. It becomes part of your working vocabulary.
And choosing relevant words helps motivation too. If you're into business, learn networking. If you love travel, maybe curious or explore, it makes it engaging. You build a vocabulary that's actually useful for your life, not just for, an exam.
The focus on context is so important. Understanding how a word behaves in different situations, just like we learned our first language. Asking, how do I use this in a sentence? Where would I use this day to day? Does the meaning change slightly here or there?
Yeah, the example they use with opportunity showed that well. A great opportunity to learn, an opportunity to travel, opportunities for career growth. Same word, different facets. Using it reveals its versatility.
And the beauty of just one word a day is
Mm.
it's manageable. You don't get that overwhelmed feeling you get with massive vocab lists. It feels achievable.
Definitely. And they suggest keeping track, notebook, app, whatever, and maybe doing a quick review each week just reinforces things.
So actionable steps for this one.
Okay, pick one word today. Something you think you might actually use. Write it down. Then, try to make at least 3 different sentences with it. And really try to use it in a conversation today, even if it's just talking to yourself again.
Right.
Then review your week's words on, say, Sunday. Remember, it's about the right words for you. Use consistently, not just quantity. Small steps, big results over time.
Moving on to habit 4. Writing simple English every morning. Again, just 5 or 10 minutes. Can that really move the needle?
According to the source, absolutely. It's presented as really transformative. And the key focus isn't on perfect grammar or fancy words. It's simply the act of thinking in English and getting those thoughts down.
Like a stream of consciousness kind of thing.
Yeah.
Just writing whatever comes to mind, goals for the day, what happened yesterday, how you're feeling.
Exactly that. Getting the English part of your brain working without the pressure of perfection. They admit feeling hesitant at first, worrying about mistakes or if it made sense. But they realized the power was in organizing thoughts and, maybe more importantly, spotting the gaps in their English.
Ah, that's interesting. So noticing when a sentence feels wrong, like their example, I want to meet with my friends in this weekend.
Right.
And realizing, that should be this weekend. It's like self-correction.
Precisely. And finding those little errors in your private writing means you catch them before they become fossilized habits in your speaking. It's a safe space to learn from mistakes.
And it builds comfort, doesn't it? Just the act of expressing yourself in English, they called it exercising the English brain muscle.
Yeah.
Getting more comfortable thinking and communicating.
And you start noticing patterns. Maybe you always write about your job. That signals, okay, I need more job-related vocabulary. Or you struggle to describe feelings. It guides your learning.
It's like holding up a mirror to your own language skills, showing your progress and where you need to focus. And they found their writing just got better over time. Clearer, more structured, ideas flowed more smoothly.
And it takes almost nothing to start. Pen and paper, phone notes app, just a few minutes. Doesn't matter if it's long or perfect, just write.
So how can listeners start this habit? What are the steps?
Just start small. 1 or 2 paragraphs each morning. Write about your day, your goals, your thoughts, anything. If you don't know a word, look it up. Try using it. Notice grammar you struggle with. Make a note. Practice it.
And don't worry about errors.
Definitely not. Mistakes are part of it. The long-term payoff, better writing without really trying, more confidence, thinking more naturally in English, just feeling more comfortable overall, it's worth those few minutes. Consistency over perfection every time. Just start tomorrow morning.
All right, final habit, number 5. Watching English with English subtitles. This one, the author says, really changed everything. A small tweak, but a huge difference.
Yes, and they contrast it clearly with watching with native language subtitles, which, let's be honest, many of us do. You follow the plot, but you're not really learning the English.
True, you're mostly reading in your own language. So the big change was switching those subtitles to English.
Exactly, because then you're connecting what you hear with what you see. The spoken word linked to the written form that helps pronunciation, spelling, understanding it clicks together. They use thought as an example, hearing it and seeing THOUGHT.
Makes sense. But it wasn't instantly easy, was it? They mentioned feeling lost sometimes with new words.
Right, but they stuck with it. Kept
Right.
watching, listening, rewinding if they really didn't get a sentence. Persistence again.
And then they mentioned shadowing.
Yeah, that's a great technique. Repeating sentences right after or even along with the speaker, trying to copy the intonation, the rhythm, the stress.
Oh.
It's fantastic for fluency and getting your mouth used to making authentic English sounds.
And over time, they just understood more, needed the subtitles less.
That's what they reported, yeah.
Yeah.
A clear sign it was working. And again, enjoyment is key. Using stuff you actually want to watch, Netflix shows, TED Talks, cartoons, even makes it sustainable.
TV shows are good for that every day. Casual English.
Yeah.
Things like "What's up?" or "That's insane." Stuff not always in textbooks.
Definitely. And then documentaries or TED Talks give you more formal language, specific vocabulary for your interests. Cartoons can be great too often, clearer speech, simpler vocab. Good for beginners.
And you can adjust the difficulty, can't you?
Yeah.
Slow it down if needed, rewind. Or speed it up for a challenge later on.
Exactly. And the advice was not to stress about understanding every single word. Focus on the overall meaning. Immerse yourself.
So for the listeners, how to start this one?
Find a show or video in English you actually like. Turn on the English subtitles. Watch just a short bit, 5-10 minutes. Listen hard. Pause, rewind, repeat if you need to. Try shadowing a few sentences. Then, maybe try watching a tiny bit with no subtitles at all. See how it feels. But mostly, just enjoy it. That keeps you going. The long-term impact on listening, pronunciation, understanding it can be massive. Eventually, you might find you're thinking in English without even noticing the subtitles anymore.
Okay, so that's a wrap on the 5 habits we explored today. Daily listening, speaking to yourself, the 1-word-a-day rule, morning writing, and watching with English subtitles.
And just to reiterate, these aren't magic wands. They all need time, patience, and, that word again, consistency. No instant fluency here.
Absolutely. So the encouragement is maybe just pick one. Which one sounded most doable or most interesting to you? Start there. Try it today or tomorrow.
Yeah, don't feel you have to do all 5 at once. Add another next week if you feel ready. It's a marathon, not a sprint, right? Fluency builds over time with that steady effort.
So here's a final thought to leave you with. Which of these habits really clicks with how you like to learn? And thinking about that, what's one tiny specific action you could take, maybe right after listening to this, to put that habit into practice?